must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
Very good afternoon to you, and thank you so much for joining us. This is Africa Showdown, Sunday today, the 25th of April 2021. I trust that your weekend has been okay, and so today we're here so that we look at what is happening here in the continent, and we will start with the Kenyan stories, and then we'll move over to Nigeria and find out, is it a state or a battlefield? And then we'll move over to Chad. Will it pass the test of time after the death of the President Idris Deby? We know right now his son has taken over the leadership of the country, so we will see what is happening there in Chad, and then we will move over to Tanzania. A pipeline in limbo after French banks distance themselves, and then we shall go over to the Democratic Republic of Congo. Is it outdoing its neighbors? And we will see what is happening there. Before I get into the headlines this afternoon, I'm joined on the panel by Daniel Wesonga from Nairobi. Daniel, a very good afternoon to you.
Yes, a very good afternoon, Miriam Mogutu, here at our headquarters in Nairobi. A very good afternoon to fellow panelists, our viewers there in Kenya, Africa, and the rest of the world. Good afternoon.
Okay, very well, good afternoon. And also we are joined by Douglas Kirimi from Meru County. Douglas, a very good afternoon to you.
A very good afternoon to you, Miriam Mogutu, and also to my friend Sean Mesonga, Jevan Karanja, Musa, and also to our viewers across the world. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where they're watching us from. Thank you for having me on the show, Miriam.
Very well, nice to have you. And we have Jevan Karanja from Nanyuki. Jevan, good afternoon to you. Very well. As Jevan, connection there continues, I think I'll bring in Musa Abdi from Isiolo County. Musa, good afternoon.
Thank you, Miriam. Good afternoon.
Okay, all right. Jevan, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon to you, Miriam. Good afternoon to our viewers wherever they are watching us from. Always a pleasure being on Punchline Africa TV.
Very well, nice to have you. We do have also, I think, Musa. I don't know if you're able to hear me. Good afternoon.
Thank you so much, Miriam. Good afternoon to our viewers. Good afternoon to everyone and fellow panelists. It's a pleasure being here.
Okay, it's nice to have all of you. So we do have a lot to talk about, starting with Kenya. So I'll just read quickly the headlines this afternoon on the Sunday Standard. Inside landmines that threaten to delay polls. Tight timelines, a congested political calendar will see MPs deal with referendum. Demarcation of the proposed constituencies, a highly politicized and delicate process, and the constitution of the electoral body, all which threaten to delay next year's poll. And then on the Sunday Nation, I'm just looking at the main headline there. Uhuru Raila reject MP's BBI report. Showdown looms after the president and his handshake partner disown a move by joint parliamentary committees of the Senate and National Assembly to declare the proposal for 70 new constituencies unconstitutional, as those in the president's camp cite interference by DP William Ruto's Tanga. And this is where I think we shall start our conversation today. And the story is on page 17 and page 18 of the Sunday Nation. I apologize. So perhaps I'll start with you, Daniel Wesonga. What is really happening here? We are seeing whatever is happening right now might delay next year's elections, because we do have a lot to work on, and the referendum cannot happen a year towards our general election. So it has to happen between now and before August. Is there a likelihood of this happening with what we've been seeing happening in the past week, the wrong bill sent to majority of the counties and what have you?
Yes, Miriam, of course, when you look at the BBI agenda, this is a process which has seen a lot of pessimism. And you remember when it all started, we had some quarters, especially from the deputy president's side, saying that the BBI was unlikely to come to Freetown. It was unlikely to even go past the county assemblies. But what you've seen that the BBI has, despite all these skeptical sentiments coming from all over, we've seen that it has been progressing well. And there's a schedule out there that is out to ensure that the BBI process goes as per the preempted schedule, which says that by June this year we should be having a referendum. People, Kenyans should be going to the ballot to be able to vote for the referendum, either yes or no, depending on what they think about this particular document. And Miriam, I can say for a fact, this is happening at the backdrop of a push and pull between both camps of the handshake, that is the President Uhuru Kenyatta and the ODM side. And what I could say, Miriam, is that we have inside saboteurs who are in this process, people who have dipped their hands into NGO money, and therefore they are being used to derail this particular process by making it move back and forth. And therefore it might waste time that has been scheduled to move from one step to another. Remember, it has to go through Parliament, and after Parliament, then could be now proceed to another stage, so that by June this year, we'll be having at least prospects of having a referendum within that time. But as it is right now, we need to get out those people, especially the elected leaders, who are being used by various NGOs, and especially on the opposition side, to sabotage this particular process. But all having been said and done, Miriam, I believe BBI has always proved wrong its detractors, and this process has always sailed through even when people thought that it could crumble and the handshake team actually go in separate ways. So I still hold some optimism, Miriam, that perhaps in the coming few days we're going to see some speedy initiative from both sides of the handshake team, being able to hasten up matters so that the BBI can proceed to the next phase. So to me, I think there's a light at the end of the tunnel, despite all these hullabaloos and the detractions that are coming from either side, I believe, Miriam.
All right, Daniel, thank you so much. Now, the story, as I said, is on page 17 of the Sunday Nation. Let me just read a bit of it before I bring Douglas Kirimi in. President Uhuru Kenyatta and ODM leader Raila Odinga yesterday disowned a move by the joint parliamentary committees of the Senate and National Assembly to declare the proposal for the 70 new constituencies unconstitutional. This comes as the camps of the two principals also raise the possibility of external interference in the committee's work by the Tanga wing of Jubilee Party, which is led by Deputy President William Ruto, a fierce critic of the Building Bridges initiative that birthed the Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill 2020. Targeted for criticism are Siaya Senator James Orengo, his Nyamira counterpart Okongo Omogeni, and a member of Parliament Otiende Amolo, who signed the majority report. Both Mr. Orengo and Mr. Amolo did not respond to Sunday Nation inquiry on the issue. Douglas, what do you think is happening there? The proponents of the PBI are saying there's a possibility this could be the workings of the DP's schemes there to disrupt the process.
Thank you, Miriam. Before I'm vindicated today because I've always accused the Deputy President's wing of Tanga of interference with the BBI process, and they have planted their spies everywhere in both Senate, National Assembly. They have done that at IBC, and they have always done that from political podiums and even from churches, Miriam. So for us to be able to move forward as the people of Kenya, we need to see the hypocrisy that is in Deputy President and his own people, are people that have refused to work for their own people that elected them, who keep continuing following the deputy president in fundraisers across the country, lying to the people of Kenya that are process that they, the people of Kenya, that want to exercise their own mandate to change the constitution of the Republic of Kenya directly using the ballot at the referendum, want to be derailed by the deputy president himself and none other than the deputy president himself, who wants to become president in 2022. And Miriam, as I conclude on my point, I accuse them of many things, and this is one of the very many manifestations of this greed by these leaders and also dishonesty from their camp. Again, these are leaders who have shown the people of Kenya contempt. They continue negotiating for prime minister seats, chief minister's seats that are in the BBI. But at the end of the day, when they do that, they come to the people and tell them BBI is bad. These are people who are hypocrites who want to, when the butter is buttered, when bread is buttered using BBI, they'll jump ship and take it when they take power in 2022. So these are hypocrites, Miriam, are people who continue delaying the BBI process so that they can be able to defranchise the people of this country economically and also politically, denying them a voice to speak their own issues and also streamline their own issues as far as constitutional changes are concerned, Miriam. Thank you.
Okay, Douglas. Thank you so much. Now, for the two camps, the majority who made the declaration that they proposed the new constituencies were unconstitutional, were acting on their self-interest with a view of derailing the initiative, but added the final say rests with the people at the referendum, given the route chosen is that of popular initiative. At the same time, it emerged that principals had their allies to prefect the committee. For instance, Sandy Nation has established that the leader of majority in the National Assembly, Amos Kimunya, attended one of the committee meetings uninvited, despite the joint team legislators having decided not to allow non-members into their meetings. So I don't know. I know there has been a lot of sabotaging going on this BBI process. But now from what we read, is there a possibility, Karanja, that internal sabotage is at play here?
Thank you very much, Miriam, for the debate that you are having this good afternoon. And to me, I would say that BBI is on course, unless President Uhuru Kenyatta and the former Prime Minister Odinga comes out openly and says that their reunion is over, and all the gains that they have gained through the conducive environment, courtesy of handshake and BBI, is over. That is the only time I can guarantee Kenyans that the BBI is not on the right track. But as we speak now, all process, everything that was planned from initially has been rolling out in order. We started with the collection, giving Kenyans their views. The document was launched. We give our signatures. Therefore, when we have gained tremendously in terms of the BBI process, and the IBC gave a go ahead to our county assemblies to debate and the document. Therefore, we are on the right way of uniting this country and bringing all Kenyans together. And Miriam, you know, in every process, there aren't like people who feel like maybe their agenda, maybe their selfish ambitions were not guaranteed in the process. And in the BBI process, we also have people who feel like they were left out in the negotiation, or who feel like they have not gained as they expected. That is why we are having internal struggles between the two camps that support the president and that support former prime minister. But at the end of the day, Miriam, our leaders must be able to reach to a point where they will put the interest of Kenyans first of their own personal ambitions. And I think that is where we have been having a lot of discord, because there are some politicians who are so self-centered and they feel like through this BBI, they have not gained as they expected. Maybe you heard them complain that some government civil servants are leading the process instead of the process being left to politicians alone. Therefore, this comes to the issue of some allowances here and there and some benefits that comes when you are spearheading such a critical process. But our politicians should learn that this process is owned by Kenyans, and if they feel like they will not debate the process, whether they debate to pass or to fail the process at the Senate or the National Assembly, the Kenyans have been given the ultimate power by our county assemblies to go and to have one-on-one interaction with this document, and we, through the referendum, Kenyans will make their voice. It is only Kenyans, Miriam, who can disagree with this document or agree with the document at the ballot where we are. Therefore, the role of our parliamentarians, they are just ceremonial. They just debate the process. They will have their own say, but at the end of the day, Kenyans will have their way because they are the majority. They're the people who go to the ballot, and their voice must be respected, and that according to our constitution. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. And of course, as I've said there, Uhuru Raila can't see the possibility of an external interference in the House Committee's work by the Tanga wing allied to Deputy President William Ruto. Affairs, a critic of the Building Bridges Initiative, ODM, and Wiper MPs are among those who voted to reject proposal to create more constituencies as contained in the BBI bill. And I think we had this conversation a couple of weeks ago, and it's not because they were opposed to the creation of the 70 new constituencies that have been proposed in the BBI, but they were opposed to where these constituencies, which areas have been awarded these new constituencies, and so that was the bone of contention. So for those who from the conversation we were having, and the inside information was that they're not really opposed to the addition of more constituencies, is because maybe their areas did not get these numbers they wanted from the proposals therein contained in the BBI. And what we're seeing right now, Musa, will it affect our election calendar already? Does it threaten to derail the process? And what do you see happening? And if these people who are the proponents of the BBI are the ones who are casting doubt and raising all these problems they're having in the BBI, how will they now go out there and sell it to Kenyans and expect Kenyans to have a faith in this the process?
Thank you, Miriam, and I'm really a bit in a more of a technical hitch, so viewers could not be able to see my video. But heading directly to the point, Miriam, there is always that point I've really been disagreeing with the BBI document a bit, and we are Kenyans. We disagree to agree on some issues, Miriam, and these issues of constituencies is the only which is really emotive per se, Miriam. When we speak of constituencies, I know the presidential task force of the BBI did not have that mandate of delimitation, of ensuring that these constituencies are going to be, given certain boundaries. Fine, I really sympathize with the BBI task force led by the late Yusuf Haji. But now the problem, Miriam, and this was the place I felt BBI was hijacked. It was at the advent of how these constituencies are going to be shared. These constituencies, Miriam, when these political leaders came with their proposals, some leaders were very greedy. You could see evidently leaders from the region of Mount Kenya, Miriam, leaders from the region of other regions, I'm not saying from the point of view of marginalization, really just dumping and saying we must need additional constituencies. The other day, Miriam, you saw Silvana Osoro and Arati fighting one another simply because Osoro is saying that he should be given another constituency in southern West Mugirango, Miriam. These are the issues which I know is really emotive. And as far as a northerner is concerned, we've really been left behind. We've only been given, Miriam, one constituency. And I know as far as this is concerned, it has nothing to do with President Uhuru Kenyatta. It has nothing to do with the BBI task force. It has something to do with the Rhodes political class, which were really advancing the interest. But one thing I'm suggesting, Miriam, BBI is the issue of constituencies are going to be implemented. But I beseech the IBC to do it in a manner, it's going to be 70, but it's going to be equally distributed, Miriam. Mm-hmm. Let's not see like the northern Kenya, Miriam, we are
Musa, by saying equally distributed, I mean we know there are certain parameters they look at, there are certain issues they look at.
Miriam, the parameter I'm speaking about, mm-hmm. I know there are some financial parameters, but Miriam,
not financial per se, but the statistics they look at, I believe, from the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics and institutions like that, for them to decide we are going to add this constituency in a certain place. There are things they look at. They just don't. I don't believe they just wake up one morning and decide Nairobi is going to have this number of more constituencies. There are things they have to consider.
I really agree with you, Miriam. But they need to be revisiting, Miriam. You know, when we speak about equity and equality, these are two different agenda, Miriam. I know in terms of population and demographics, I know northern Kenya, we are not that much populated, Miriam. But now, this is a country, Miriam, whereby 75% of Kenyan landmass belongs to this region of the country. And Miriam, when they said we are going to add one constituency, I feel like it's humanly, let's not speak statistically here. Professor Dr. Nyanchama will agree with me here. Humanly, it's humiliating, Miriam. It's as if you are being sidelined. You are being told the 69 is going the downward side, only one is going to the northernward side. But Miriam, as far as that is concerned, I think apart from the IBC and the issues of constituencies, that is going to be the most emotive agenda. But other agendas, Miriam, I know it's all about policies they are going to put in place. So my humble submission, Miriam, is that I always stand with my point. Let us not postpone the election. Let the election be in the second week of 2022, Miriam. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Musa, you just brought up the issue about, remember that a debate on revenue allocation bill that went on and on in Parliament for a number of times, and there were debates on landmass versus population. So I think we just went back to that there. Professor Jared Onyari, a very good afternoon to you. Okay, as Professor there joins, I think Dr. Joseph Nyanchama is with us this afternoon, if I'm not very wrong. Doctor, very good afternoon to you.
Miriam, I'm here.
Oh, you're here. So now, nice to have you. The 70 proposed number of constituencies. Now, the finding that the creation of 70 new constituencies are unconstitutionally divided. The Joint Committee of the National Assembly and Senate are saying the way you divided these constituencies is not the right way. So that has become a contention now.
Yeah, Miriam, let me just be very, very open and straight and answer this question. BBI is trying to address national ethos. Is trying to address inclusivity. Is trying to address fairness. And you know, Miriam, it is not by design that the people from Central Kenya, the population is huge. It goes without saying, Miriam, that they need more constituencies. So Miriam, it goes without saying that the people who are against these constituencies, they don't want you from Central Kenya and in Nairobi to get the constituencies. They must come out very clear. There's nothing like that. What we have only done through BBI, Miriam, we have identified 70 constituencies to be created. So it is the work of IBC to go ahead and do the elimination where the constituencies are going to be. Nobody has taken that power. But since they have allowed politics to play to take the center stage, this is where we find ourselves. Miriam, Paul Mwangi, one of the lawyers who was there as one of the side from Raila, Kimani, those are distinguished lawyers. Even some of these Senator Orengo, where was he? Coming at the latest stage and trying to say that they are not supporting. What I'm trying to see, George Soros is here with us. The money from the NGO worlds are now going to destabilize BBI. And what we need to do, Miriam, now, there's no much effort that we are going to do to try to pump water to the hill when we don't have a pump. We have literally to walk the stairs to take water up. And the time is not on our side, Miriam. And I'm so much disturbed, Miriam, when different copies of BBI will be sent to the county assemblies, Miriam. You can see the kind of sabotage which is being done. Miriam, you can have been asking where was the National Intelligence Service, Miriam, when this is happening, Miriam. The Constitution is very clear, the second Tuesday of the 5th year, we go for elections. Let no one try to temper, Miriam, with the date of the elections, Miriam. If we are going to lose this opportunity, Miriam, it is very unfortunate. There are those ones who are going to be in office, Miriam, endeavor never to rig the elections for the people of Kenya. But from what I see, Miriam, whether you are going to bulldoze in the parliament you passed, Miriam, we have so many of the mutatas. They will just walk to the court, Miriam. And if they come before my chamber, if I were church, I will grant the orders. Because what was discussed in some of a quite number of the counties was not the correct BBI. So that's where we find ourselves. We have been screwed now. There is nothing we can do, Miriam. And it is high time, Miriam, that we say that where people are many, let them just be given the constituencies so that they can also get services, Miriam. You know, a constituency like Mbakazi, where you are having almost 600,000 people, is getting the same money for CDF, like a constituency which is having 26,000 people. So, Miriam, these are some of the things which we need to address, but I'm so much disturbed, so much disappointed, because those people are supposed to help the Prime Minister and the President. They are just sleeping on the job, and what you can see from them is being arrogant. I submit, Miriam.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Nyanchama. Good afternoon. Okay, Dr. Nyanchama is struggling to. Can you hear me? Good afternoon.
No, I can hear you. I can hear you now, Miriam.
All right, nice to have you on the show. Go ahead.
Thank you. I was trying to join in and was getting errors.
That's okay. So what you're talking about is this contention now that we have in the proposed Constitutional Amendment Bill 2020, and the finding that the creation of the 70 new constituencies are unconstitutionally divided. The Joint Committee in the National Assembly and Senate now are saying, I think, because a lot of them were raising issues like what Musa there was saying. Others feel we needed some of these constituencies in our own areas, and so it's a bit of a, I don't know if you'd say selfish, but they're having troubles with that.
Oh, thank you, Miriam. You know, sometimes I sometimes wonder how thinking takes place in some of our leaders. Remember in the forum, the Good Morning Africa, I had raised the issue on area we call substance over form. The substance over form is when you are advancing certain issues and you find there are lapses in the middle of it, of the process, you now start to consider substance versus form. What was submitted to the county governments, there were found to be quite a number of errors. They need to be determined whether those errors go to the root of everything. And I had even raised it earlier during the breakfast. Good Morning Africa. But coming now to the question you have talked about, the constituencies, it shall be looked in the same form. In fact, when the President of the Republic of Kenya took the handshake with the former Prime Minister, they were trying to heal a certain aspect of the perennial issues we have in our republic. That means of fighting, destabilizing the nation. And when the experts were constituted to look at those matters broadly, in fact, they identified maybe a perennial complaints. And that's why probably they came up with the 70 constituencies, and they looked at that aspect as one of the stabilizers of this conflict. And what that means is that the IPC has still mandate to continue a review, and if need be, still recommend for more constituencies, if that's what it means. For me, is from my own perspective, the issue of using now the constituencies, the 70 constituencies, in fact is a narrative to scuttle the whole process. The reason being, others now would have been incited to say, if that is the case, then we are not going to vote for BBI. In fact, my own suggestion is that let, as proposed by experts, go if later IBC find that others deserve more constituencies. There's nothing that prevents them. And I want to tell you, Miriam, and my fellow panelists, that nature is more powerful than effort. Some of the leaders pretend to be advancing a narrative which is for people, but only to find it for self-interest. And I had said, power does not corrupt, it only reveals the character of the power holder. And you can see for yourself, many of them are even changing goalposts. Miriam, I said earlier that we have produced powerful leaders without principles. And you can see this, Miriam. For me, if in fact the conflict of BBI still continue, we're going to have a worse scenario in the next elections. What I propose, those errors which went to the county assemblies were minor, and if need be, let them be treated as such and continue with the BBI process. I submit, Miriam.
Okay, thank you so much. That is Dr. Joseph Nyanchama from Nairobi. Now, Mr. Odinga, however, sought to reassure his supporters that the BBI plane, despite the turbulence, was well on schedule. Daniel Wesonga, is it really?
Yes, Miriam, because I tend to agree much strongly with the former Prime Minister on this one, because when you look around, there's no any other option other than the BBI, because for the few years that the BBI, the handshake has been in place, Kenya has experienced a relative period of peace, stability, and we've seen even the government under President Uhuru Kenyatta roll out very massive projects that are ongoing right now. And that on itself, Miriam, it's what this country needs. So I think when the Prime Minister and the President had the handshake in 2018, they pledged that there will be no looking back on it. There's no going back to the dark days when we had demonstrations, we had a lot of anarchy and political squabbles here and there. So to me, the BBI is the only way, and that is why the former Prime Minister and President Uhuru Kenyatta are so much determined to ensure that this process actually is completed and Kenyans are able to have the recommendations implemented into their constitution, and we are able to secure a future for our people. So to me, the biggest obstacle are the leaders who are bringing in these kind of squabbles, and for that, I believe it's good that Raila himself and President Uhuru Kenyatta reassures their supporters that despite all this storm, despite all these push and pull and fighting that are being witnessed between the different committees, we are going to have a breakthrough, and that is what most Kenyans are anticipating for, that we have BBI in place, we go to the referendum, the recommendation are added into our constitution, we are able to reform the IEBC, and off we go to the 2022 presidential election, so that we are able to leave Kenya in a very safe pair of good leaders. And that is what actually the President and the former Prime Minister are focusing on. I submit.
Okay, thank you so much. There's a story here I've been trying to ignore on page 19 of the Sunday Nation. Ruto recruits ex-Kibaki team to draft economic strategy. Deputy President William Ruto has reached out to some of the top brains who helped former President Mwai Kibaki plan and run the economy during his rule, a period which is widely recognized as Kenya's best economic run. The list of economists who the DP has tasked with drafting the Hustler economic strategy aimed at curing Kenya's economic ruin from President Uhuru Kenyatta's mess, where he is the deputy president. This is so interesting. Also include top brains who worked with ODM leader Raila Odinga and a few faces in the business world. So one of them is Dr. Devin Day. The next one is Professor Njuguna Ndung'u. The other one is Professor Raphael Munavu and Professor Larry Gumbe. So Deputy President is working on an economic team that will help him clear the mess after President Uhuru Kenyatta is gone, and yet he's still part of the so-called mess here. What is not really happening, Douglas?
Thank you, Miriam. One of the things that we need to demystify this afternoon is the issue of Deputy President Dr. William Ruto being an economic savior to the people of Kenya. When I was being born in 1992, Dr. William Ruto was 26 years old and he was plundering this country properly using the Y92 Robbie group for KANU that wanted KANU to continue entrenching their rule of oppression, dictatorship, corruption, and the plunder of this economy and of this nation. Miriam, a man that has perfected the art of conning, stealing, plunder for the last 30 years, wants to promise us an economic wand of magic that is going to wave at us in 2022 when we elect him 16 months from here. Miriam, this is an hybrid political conman that wants to con the people of Kenya. This is a man that has refused to be able to run away from that mess. He continues growing salaries, continues using the government house in Karen, continues using government machinery to continue campaigning for his 2022 bid. This is pure rubbish. There is nothing Dr. William Ruto is doing here. This is just public relations. If he is serious about an economic miracle that is going to perform a scientific and also an economic miracle in 2022, we need Dr. William Ruto to resign from Jubilee government. Tomorrow morning is Monday. He needs to declutter his mind. He needs to be able to declutter his mind from the irrational issues that are surrounding his life. Because Miriam, as I conclude on my point, which man continues talking about a mess and wants to promise us an heaven in future, and he continues worrying and also swimming in the same mess that they have created for over 80 years? If Dr. Uhuru Kenyatta, the President of the Republic of Kenya, has created any mess in this country for the last 80 years, this hypocrite who lives in Karen in a government house should go back to his home in Sugoi and do his economic revival from there as he waits for elections in 2022, Miriam. And I have said before, Miriam, for me to be able to continue deciding and also marrying my own boss, my own employer that I'm relying on for salaries and every benefits that I'm getting, and continue telling people when I open my new company next year in January, you people, I'm going to make sure that you are all the benefits and I cannot effect the same, and I am a deputy to my boss. Miriam, this is a hypocrisy of the highest order, and I've told the people before, this is an hybrid political conman. This is a political chameleon who is hiding by the economic revival. Miriam, a man that was plundering when I was being born in 1992, a man that continues making sure that youths of this country, even after universities, are not getting jobs in this country. He promised us jobs in 2013 when we were in universities. When we finished school, we still wait for those jobs. And now he has gone ahead and made sure that he has lifted all the economic hands from the country to make sure that they give him a revival strategy for the Asras. Which Asras, if we are not the same young people that he has been relying for the last 8 years? Miriam, this is an hybrid political chameleon. I'm calling all the youths of this country, the young people of this generation, to shun such political thugs who continue arriving themselves to continue lying to the people, even from the church. Now he has come with an economic blueprint to continue stealing from the people of Kenya. Okay. A man that has never changed his bracky spots since 1992, Miriam. I'm 29 years today. William Ruto has been stealing for the last 29 years. What magic is he coming to do in the next 16 months? This is an hybrid political chameleon. This is an hybrid political conman conning the people of Kenya, and we have no time for such leaders, Miriam. I submit, and I'm very sad that this man who has been plundering our economy, 1992 plundering, 97 everywhere, until today he wants to come and change things. He has been a vice president for the last 8 years. What is his scorecard? What has he done for the young people to create jobs and economic revival? Such hypocrisy, Miriam, is what we don't want in this country. And we thank God that we are going to make sure we push him out of government or retire him by force at the ballot in 2022. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. Douglas Kirimi is wondering, for this long, the Deputy President has been in Kenyan politics. What has he done there to change the lives of these people? Now he proposed to want to change their lives. And as we speak, I think every Kenyan is wondering, or every Kenyan that means well to this country, this is our Deputy President, meaning he is in a position to implement some of these policies, to bring in some of these ideas that he wants to bring after 2022 to ensure that at least Kenyans' lives are better now, because Kenyans Kenyans right now, they're thinking about today. What will I eat today? Do I have rent for my family for this month? Kenyans are thinking of today, right now, even talking about elections and next year and what have you. That is something that Kenyans are not even a conversation they're not open to, because it is tough times for everybody, not just in Kenya, but across the globe over the COVID-19 pandemic and general hard times, generally. So, but Deputy President is saying now he's putting up he's having a hustler economic strategy amid aimed at curing Kenya's economic ruin from President Uhuru Kenyatta's mess. The mess that he continues to stay in, as Douglas there has said, and we pay him to stay in that mess. But he's saying, don't worry, after I come in 2022, I will clean up this mess. What is not even happening here, Jevan Karanja?
Miriam, it's very interesting that the Deputy President realizes now that Kenyans need an economic model that will uplift their lives, that will create jobs, that will create industries and so on. And Miriam, it's so interesting that he, as a Deputy President of this country, when they were forming government in 2013, in 2017, he didn't come up with these models. What was he expecting? What was his plan when he was joining President Uhuru Kenyatta as his running mate? Because he must be having a plan. Was his plan to come and ensure that the people of Kimorel and Arol don't have dams? Was his plan to ensure that he sabotages the government of President Uhuru Kenyatta? Was his plans to ensure that President Uhuru Kenyatta doesn't leave a united country? Because Miriam, he as a Deputy President, he needs to tell us what has he done now when he still have the powers. What has he done? What economic model has he brought in place when he is still the Deputy President? He talks of economic model of President Kibaki. When given opportunity, Miriam, in 2002, he didn't support President Kibaki. Rather, he supported President Uhuru Kenyatta. In 2007, he didn't support the same man he is praising now. He supported Raila Amolo Odinga. In 2013, he didn't bring that economic plan on table. In 2017, he didn't bring the same plan. Therefore, according to Deputy President and his cronies, they will only better this country if they happens to become the president. What if they don't become the president? Does it mean that this country will not move to the next level? No, this country will continue progressing with or without them at the helm of leadership. With or without the Deputy President as president of this country, Kenya will continue progressing. Infrastructural development will continue taking place. Economic plans and policies will continue being implemented. Therefore, it is high time they show us by actions now when they are still there, because they don't know whether tomorrow they will be there. And they will hold them accountable for the 10 years they have been Jubilee government and they have not brought these goodies to Kenyans. What if they don't see the presidency? What if they don't become what they expect to be in 2022? Therefore, their good ideas, which they have failed to implement now, will drain away. Therefore, this kind of hypocrisy, this kind of level of double standings is what we call out from this team calling themselves the hustlers. Thank you, Miriam.
Okay, thank you so much. Musa, DP wants to clear the mess that President Uhuru Kenyatta has created, and yet he's part of that mess. He's refused to, there has been calls, if you don't agree with the government that you're part of, then the right thing to do, the honorable thing to do is for you to resign. He said, no, I will sit here and continue serving. But Kenyans are wondering, if you're sitting here talking about 2022 and making economic plans for 2022, and yet we are in a crisis, we need good ideas right now, any kind of ideas that will elevate the lives of Kenya, that will go to serve the lives of Kenyan and respond to their needs and whatever it is that they feel is urgent right now. But as a Deputy President, they continue to pay you, they continue to pay for your security, they continue to pay for everything. You live in a house that Kenyans taxpayers build, and you cannot even, you're talking about 2022 while you're supposed to be serving Kenyans today. What is amiss here in all this strategy by, Deputy President? Musa. All right, Professor Jared Onyari. Okay, Dr. Nyanchama, go ahead.
Okay, Miriam.
All right, go ahead.
Miriam, you are saying, Miriam, if you don't work.
Can you hear me, Miriam, now? Can you hear me?
Let Professor go ahead. Musa, come back to you.
Okay.
Professor, go
Miriam,
ahead.
sometimes I get disappointed and disturbed. If someone does not want to pay, Miriam, does not want to work, and he has clearly shown that he doesn't want to work, why can't you sack him and he goes to court? Why can't he be sacked and stop that salary, Miriam? And he goes to court and he says, no, I have not been paid because of this and this. The moment Miriam will continue paying him, he continues staying at the hazardous mansion, Miriam, then Miriam, we stand ourselves to pray and we can continue discussing this until the cows comes home. So Miriam, from where I sit, those who are in authority, if the employee does not work, let him not be paid, Miriam. Miriam, the deputy president of this country is a public officer, like just another person, Miriam. And I know he has a place, he reports. And if he has not been working, Miriam, my position, you know what is. Otherwise, the people who are messing us up is to be reported. It could have relinquished him the position of the deputy leader of the party. Mm-hmm. And here Kenyans, we go to court and we stop him from getting the salaries. So the moment we keep on saying, oh, it's not working, oh, well, it's not doing this, those who are being charged of taking to ensure that if you don't work, they don't process your pay, is enough, and that's the way to go, Miriam.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
Someone cannot come on the national TV, Miriam, and they say he's frustrated by people who are busybodies, by people who are being drunk. Why can't he just be man enough and he resigns? Okay. He has confessed and admitted before the clear of the television and everybody is listening to him, Miriam, what he said. So, Miriam, from what I said, his salary should be stopped.
Okay.
And he goes to court.
All right.
To ask that he has been, he's not being paid. In any event, he cuts money in a sack to churches, and I thank God of the pandemic that at least now we are being spared on this.
All right.
I submit, Miriam.
Very well. Thank you so much. Musa. Musa, can you hear me? Okay, I will go to Dr. Joseph Nyanchama.
Thank you, Miriam, and my fellow panelists. You see, the most important thing is not what even the deputy president is doing to bring the former governor of central bank. I think some of these leaders, they need to understand when a nation moves from childhood to adulthood, as now Kenya is in the process of growing, to assure whether it will reach adulthood expected so that it plays the same league with other countries. There are two critical factors which needs to be taken into account. And I would usually imagine that these leaders know them. One is what we call the level of cohesiveness. Two, the degree of coherence. Cohesiveness is where a nation has these units working together in a seamless form. Like it should not be divided on a ethnic ground, on religious, on ratio. And you know, in Kenya, we have identified that it's a challenge of cohesiveness. When there is a challenge of cohesiveness, whether you bring the best brain on earth, when people are divided and they are helter-skelter, your strategies will count to nothing. Let us not bank our hopes on just a mere person saying that is the best economist. Let us address first things first. Two factors a nation needs to achieve if it has to play the league of developed countries. Cohesiveness is a factor, and the coherence. The BBI has identified it's a challenge of cohesiveness. Because any economic challenge, any economic strategy you will come up with will only succeed if the nation is cohesive, or the divisive forces have been brought together. Like tribes, you already see the heat the 70 constituents are creating. Coherence means how prudent are the political entities moving the nation forward. You see how they are behaving. So when you look at the two factors in totality, then you have a fertile ground now to come up with your economic blueprint. You cannot come up with economic blueprint when you know the nation is not yet cohesive. Instead of joining, then you finish, participate with the BBI, say, now we are finished. I am going to stand as a president. Now I want to come up with a blueprint. Let me tell you, Miriam, again, being cohesive without being coherent is like having a body without a soul. So these things, they need to move together. My take is let the deputy president join others, build a cohesive society through BBI, if that's what it will be, then come up with your blueprint, because you have a right to participate for presidential ambition in the republic. That's what the Constitution provides. So you are coming up with blueprint when there are still challenges which you have not agreed to participate to solve. I submit, Miriam.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Joseph Nyanchama, and we're about done with the Kenyan topics, and I'll bring in, I think,
Miriam,
just
to give a rejoinder to that, Jevan Karanja has really brought out a very, very important point that in two occasions, two opportunities that he got in 2002 and 2007, William Ruto voted against Mwai Kibaki. Why is it that right now he sees the essence of the Kibaki's economic model then? And also, Miriam, right now he should know that President Uhuru Kenyatta is working to continue the Vision 2030, which is a blueprint which President Kibaki left in office. And this is what most of the projects that are actually the president has been completing are actually which emanated from the Vision 2030 blueprint. And when he tells you that he is hiring Kibaki's key economic experts, then he tells you that these are the same people who drafted most of the current projects that we are having in President Uhuru Kenyatta's government. So what difference will they bring on board if they are the same people who drafted Vision 2030? What William Ruto should be told is that we do have a self-sufficient economic model in the Vision 2030, which he should support his boss to accomplish, and after that we shall be able to build a robust economy. Otherwise, all these other shenanigans he's bringing to Kenyans is just a waste of time, Miriam.
Okay, thank you so
Miriam,
much.
Before you go across to the other topic of Africa, just let me make one observation.
Go ahead.
Economic what? Print. Who?
Hustler's economic strategy or something. That's what he calls it, I think.
Led by Deputy D?
Yes. And Juguna Ndungu and Raphael Munavu and Larry Gumbe.
This morning, I picked my phone and talked to Professor Larry Gumbe. You know, for me, I don't hide. I told him you have been hiding under BBI while you support Ruto. You are one of the people near Raila Odinga. Because my discussion was recorded. If he says no, I will pass. I'm not Sonko. I want to make it very clear. Just a minute.
Okay. As we wait for Doc there to come back, I think he's sorting out something. Well, that it's called the Hustler Economic Strategy, and Doc, DP saying he is intending to clear up the mess that has been created, the economic mess that has been created by
Miriam, I am back.
Ruto wants to clear the mess.
My coffee. Mm-hmm. Just one, my Coke. cocoa from Ivory Coast fell on the carpet because I was disrupted. Let me tell you, Mr. David D, cannot write an economic miracle. David D knows how to write, to be a PA of Chief Justice Mutunga, to write documents to go and fix William Ruto in the ICC. He was the one. I met David D, William Mutunga in The Hague, in a Chinese restaurant, meeting the Suda. They didn't know me because of the jackets in Europe. I took their photograph. I came back here. Dr. Mutunga was saying he was in London. I gave it to the government then. I said, please, these guys are liars. They were not in London. They were meeting Besuda to fix William Ruto. But William Ruto is possessed, obsessed. Akona spirits zinataka presidents. So if you go there, these guys have learned that there is money. Actually, Ngumbo told me there is money. Matanga, why don't we have this money? Why you are not giving me any money? There is money here, we shall write the policy. That's what Professor Ngumbo told me. I am the same age like Professor Ngumbo, or even slightly older than Ngumbo. He told me this morning, telling me, Mr. Ruto, give your money, enjoy it, but I told you last week, keep this money, some of it, for your children. You might not like, after you have lost this presidency, you might be very poor man on planet Earth. An economic print when you don't have even a single factor. You have which as Ruto got even a factory that manufactures a needle in Kenya. Miriam, a person who feels for Kenya, builds industries to employ the younger men. Ruto makes money, takes it away, and do you know where he has invested the money? Which he will never get. Let him ask me, I have a new story for him. I know where the money is. He might not get it. The things I'm hearing are not very good. So these guys want money. They come up with a scheme. They go to Ruto and they say, I told you I have a friend whom I cannot mention here, who came and showed me his house was being auctioned for 9.4 million Kenya shillings. The deputy president cleared that bill in a day. And when you see him now, he's on TV coughing fire, defending the deputy president, which is very good. I mean, when you have the money, let them eat it. Unfortunately for some of us, we defend because of passion. I defend Uhuru not because Uhuru pays me. I defend Uhuru because I'm a Pan-African. I defended Ruto because I'm a Pan-African. I did not know who Ruto was in 2007 when I was being called names in Kenya. When I stood alone and NGOs that Ruto is paying money today. The same NGOs, the same David Ndi, who called me a foreigner when I was defending Ruto in the ICC. Ruto, God is watching. You continue spending your money, but these people are eating it for free. They are not forcing you to give them. What economic blueprint? Every country in the world, Miriam, let me tell you, every country in the world has economic hardship now. So what? What are you going to do? No, what are you going to do? You Kenyans cry, everything you cry. You go to Mara. In fact, you can go to Mara National Park and cry. Democracy, democracy, I'm here. If you see whether the lion will not come and eat you. I try to go. So you talk of democracy, you have it. Go to Mara Park and say, I need my democracy here. And then when you see a lion coming, then it's cried, democracy, democracy, it will eat you. So, yes, you are, doctor was talking of cohesion. Cohesion. You can't rule a country that is divided, scattered, damaged. Let's heal first. Cohesive language, cohesive talk will deliver Kenya. A united Kenya with a purpose to create a better Africa. It's the only hope that some of us have. This question of saying David Ndii can create a team, I've told you I've already picked intelligence from Gumbo himself on the committee. He has told me they pay him, he will take the money. You write an economic blueprint for who? For who? For who? Do you know what Ngumbo told me? I want to tell you what he told me because he said you can repeat it everywhere. He said, and I repeat, that he told the committee, and Mr. former governor of the bank, that Lumpen there who claims to have studied economics when he doesn't even have economics papers. Where we have stomached so many people. Professor Njuguna something. Where we shall expose people now. You know, he told Professor Njuguna that please, make sure that Raila Odinga is the president, Ruto is the prime minister, and then Mohoho Kenyatta is the deputy president. Then I will be on the committee. End of story. Wesonga, you have got the ammunition now. That's exactly Dr. Joseph and Professor Onyari. That is what it transferred between me and Gumbo. We are not backbiting. Because I was asking him as my friend, what is the problem? You are named in a group that I never expected you to be. He said, no, they came to me. I did not go to them. But if they bring money, one of the conditions I gave them is that Raila Odinga must be the president. They ran away. They ran away and then they went to publicize for legitimacy. Okulia. Bagalo okulira kulinyalya. Sorry, Miriam, I will translate. They want to eat using Gumbo's name.
Yeah.
Yes, that maybe Gumbo is very near Raila. Raila has sent a person there. You know, Ruto does not see all this. If a man can write and deceive you, a boy who dropped from Kenya School of Mass Communication writes and deceives you that talk this, then you are the worst president. You can't check your facts. So there is nothing like that, Miriam. Thank you. The economic miracle of that team ends from the naming and perhaps the space in the newspaper, which David Ndii got by paying the editor of Nation. Otherwise, there is zero material there. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. So we'll just cross over now to the other topics we have in Africa, and we shall start with Nigeria, where it is worrying the level of insecurity that has continued to be witnessed there from Nigeria. And the latest, 3 students kidnapped by armed bandits from Greenfield University in northern Nigeria on Tuesday have been killed, local officials have said in a statement. And this is what President Muhammadu Buhari has said. He described on Saturday the recurring incidents of kidnaps and the killing of Kaduna State. So he's saying those incidents are barbaric terror attacks, and he continues to send his thoughts and prayers to the families that have been affected. Until when will President Buhari keep sending his thoughts and wishes to these families, and he refuses to address the issue of insecurity in Nigeria decisively? Doctor, you can start for us.
You are the chosen who?
You can start for us.
Thank you very much. I will not take much time. I will summarize Nigeria in 3 points. Nigeria is hurtling to disintegration. That's point number 1. Nigeria is going to become a liability to the rest of West Africa and to the rest of Africa. Point number 2 is that a population of 200 million people without a president is the most dangerous country on planet Earth. A president who keeps on sending messages of condolence to the families, an army which has millions and millions of dollars. They can't capture one Al-Shabaab, Boko Haram. They can't kill them. They can't call for external help, expertise to destroy Boko Haram. A country of that nature is the worst country that we are going to face. A country that discriminates, stands on, eats the Igbo people, kills the Igbo people, slaughters the Igbo people. Every day, every night, every moment, the Igbo people in Onitsha, in Port Harcourt, in Enugu, in southeastern Nigeria, they are suffering from an internal sponsored militia that is killing its own people. A government that has not sent troops to the front line, but has sent troops to the south to eliminate the Enugu people, the Igbo people, throw them in the Atlantic Ocean, is not worth a government. A government that allows corruption to eat its armed forces, divide its armed forces, is ripe for a military intervention. Believe me or not, if things go the way they are going in Nigeria today, there will be a military coup not far from now. And I'm telling you, the generals are watching. They can't tackle Boko Haram. They can't tackle internal strife. They can't tackle anything. We had hopes in Nigeria. We had hopes in our bigger country on the continent of Africa. We had hopes that they could come up and show us the military might, the money, the dollar that they get from the oil fields of southeastern Nigeria would have worked, changed, transformed Nigeria. But Nigeria is a state without the government. The government in Nigeria does not exist. There is a ghost president in Nigeria called Jibril, not Buhari. I think, Miriam, for the last 4 years, I have been studying. Mr. Buhari, if you don't allow me to come to your country, so be it. But also you will not die with it. You can stay, I can stay where I am. But I'm not going to keep quiet. If I show the pictures of the people of the South, Miriam, condemned, tied on cars, and rolled around their villages as if they are Boko Haram, you will not see this television again. It is sad, therefore, but Nigeria presents the problem of Africa. The same Africa we have had, the same old Africa is returning. The same old Africa is coming very soon. We are about to see what we used to see in 1960s when the second military coup took place, when Nigeria, General Aronzi, walked all the way and overthrew Baba Tafawa Balewa. We are going to see this. It is coming. It is coming. It is a vision. It's a Sunday today. I saw the vision. I see the vision of Africa. How to speak with the vision of Africa. I have Africa at my heart. That whether you like me or not, I must leave a legacy of Africa. A better Africa for the Africans. A better resources for the people of Africa. A united Africa. I feel ashamed to be a Pan-African when we still have countries that cannot allow another African to travel into their countries. I feel ashamed when the Igbo people, the Nigerian Igbo people, the Igbo people in Nigeria are killed on a daily basis, and African Union does not speak. I feel ashamed when people turn a blind eye on the suffering of the people of that great region. I am ashamed. I am ashamed. I am ashamed. I am ashamed. And let God help me. This is not the Africa that I wanted to leave behind for my children. This is not the Africa. This is not the Nigeria that Nigerians wanted. We fought General Buhari, a military man, who fought the 1967 war alongside General Yakubu Gowon, coming back to power, having seized the power himself, removed the democratically elected government or under other government and removed another general who could bring changes. He came to power, he amassed wealth, he siphoned the money, he went as far as even marrying more women and even surrendering some to other people. We have lost Nigeria. Nigeria is no more. Miriam, I submit that the Igbo people still have a cause. For Nigeria to stabilize, we need to rearrange Nigeria. Nigeria needs rearrangement. Nigeria is a breeding ground for Boko Haram that is spreading in the Sahara region. Nigeria is the breeding ground for people who are killing presidents in that region. Soon every army in Sahara region will drive from the north and go and kill their president. You are going to witness that. The ones in Libya are saying we are coming again after the mourning period is over. We are on the way. They have issued a statement. Look at that. Nigeria embarrasses me as an African. Miriam, let's move faster. I think that there are no better words on Nigeria than what I have said. But if my colleagues want to make comments, there you are, I give space. But that is my stand.
Okay, thank you so much. Security, or the lack of it there in Nigeria, continues to be a nightmare. President Muhammadu Buhari, every time there's an attack where Nigerians are being kidnapped, now it has become, a thing. It's a booming business there in Nigeria. All he says is, my deepest condolences, my prayers and wishes to this family. Until when? Something has to be done, surely, Daniel.
Yes, thank you, Miriam. And I think Dr. Mazanga is an authority when it comes to the question of Nigeria. He has vastly talked about Biafra. He has vastly talked about the leadership of President Muhammadu Buhari. And therefore, I think I'll not be adding much on what he has said. He has already wrapped it up. And to me, just to conclude on it, I'll just say it in a simple time. Muhammadu Buhari has failed. And just like Farmajo in Somalia, he also needs to be taken out. That is it, Miriam.
Okay, it needs to be taken out. Okay, quite strong sentiments there from Daniel. Anyone else who has anything else to add on top of that before we move on to Chad, another place that seems trouble is brewing? Yeah, go ahead.
I think, thank you, Miriam. I borrow the words of Mahatma Gandhi when he was addressing the Indian people, and they said, we have not inherited this nation from our forefathers. We have borrowed it from our children, and we must pay it back with interest. I wonder which kind of interest of Buhari paying back, leave alone the principle. You know, when Buhari gives messages of condolences, that's what we call rhetoric. If you don't act, whatever you say is just rhetorical. If you allow, as a president, the very critical resources of any independent entity like a state to be destroyed, then you have taken the nation and destroyed it. Because the human beings, the people of Nigeria, are the very critical resources of that nation. And for that matter, any nation, it is people. Now you see, your people continue being killed. You are sending rhetorical messages of condolences without effective action. And you know, I usually talk about people hanging on constitution. Constitution for who? That is what Abraham Lincoln was asking. If any elements are destabilizing a nation, nobody should just cite constitution. What takes precedence is the life of the people. Oh, I'm wondering, are the Nigerian people leaders listening? Please, can you move as yesterday and save the little lives remaining? Because without the people, you have no resources, and without the resources, you have no nation. The earlier you learn it, the Nigerian colleagues, the better for Africa. I submit, Miriam.
Thank you. Anybody else? Or we just move on to Chad? Okay. So we will go to our next.
Yes, Miriam, I'm here.
Go ahead. Do you have something to add on Nigeria?
Yeah, Miriam, I totally concur with Dr. Masanga.
Mm-hmm.
That I am a true Pan-Africanist, Miriam. I love Africa. I want to see peace in Africa, Miriam. I want to see Africa moving forward. I want to see the African leaders speaking in one voice. But this one is not happening in Nigeria, for Miriam. Buhari, when he was campaigning for the first time, Miriam, he said that he will crush Boko Haram. Has he done so, Miriam? Were more than 200 innocent girls kidnapped, taken by Boko Haram, raped, and some, Miriam, married off. Miriam, what are we seeing happening to the Igbo people, Miriam? Miriam, if you mistreat God's people, Miriam, you have got a date with God. And mark this work, Miriam, and one day you will live to see this. The population of 200 million of Nigerian people, without the proper leadership, Miriam, that country is headed to be no country. Having said that, Miriam, the best thing you can do, Miriam, if you cannot protect children, if you cannot protect people's lives and properties, Miriam, you have any business being in power? Why haven't the Nigerians sustained Buhari as their president? Even when he was absent from office for almost a year, Miriam. So, Miriam, from where I sit, Miriam, the people of Nigeria should demand for President Buhari to get out of office.
Okay.
Because if a country doesn't have proper leadership, Miriam, what do you expect? That the Boko Haram will just come, kidnap people, kidnap all those things, Miriam? It is totally unacceptable, Miriam, I submit.
Okay, thank you so much, Professor Jared Onyari. Indeed, security there in Nigeria has become a nightmare. And as Professor there has reminded us, that was one of the key things that President Buhari promised when he was being elected for the first time, that he will deal with the issue of Boko Haram within 100 days of his election. That did not happen, but very surprisingly, he was re-elected again, and Nigerians continue to live this nightmare. President Buhari had gone for, I think, a health retreat in London. I don't know if he's back yet in the country, because Professor, you reminded us he's had not quite a good health there. So he's just failed. You, as a president, if you cannot guarantee the security of your people and your country, you failed. Yes, Douglas.
Miriam. Thank you, Miriam. What we have today in Nigeria is a cabal of leaders that don't want to let the old man go home because they no longer have a president. Miriam, what we see in Nigeria today, people being kidnapped in Maiduguri, people being kidnapped in his own backyard where he comes from. The president of Nigeria has failed the world, has failed the people of Nigeria, people that had given him the mandate to rule as their president for 2 terms, Miriam. They continue suffering under the hands of Muhammadu Buhari because he is incompetent, inept, and incapable of leading the nation of Nigeria, a nation of over 200 people, as one man holding them at ransom, a man that cannot take a decisive action against Boko Haram, a man that cannot take decisive action against the Fulani huntsmen, a man that cannot take a decisive action to be able to soar the economic gains, a nation of over 200 million people being held by one rebel leader, a man that turned a civilian government into a military government and it became end of state in 1980s, a man that has continued defranchising the people of Nigeria needs to resign from office and leave the people of Nigeria to have a new leader that can be able to take their country forward. They can't wait until 2022. It's about time Muhammadu Buhari left power and he left everything that is Nigeria. He can go to London if he wishes so, because he spends most of his time outside Abuja, outside Nigeria, more than he spends his time solving the problems of the people of Nigeria. This is a man that should leave power immediately so that the people of Nigeria can go forward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. And I think we'll leave that matter there and move into Chad. Remember last week we were, African Union Peace and Conflict Committee had a meeting where they were looking at the situations in Somalia and Chad. So they gave their resolution for Somalia, but for Chad they were waiting until President Idris Deby was buried, which he did on Friday, before they could give out their resolution. So right now, the African Union has called for an end to military rule in Chad, whose president was killed by rebels. The army immediately announced that Idris Deby's son would head a military council for 18 months before elections were held. A former colonial power for France, which has a large military base in Chad, appeared to back the takeover for stability amid exceptional circumstances. Opposition parties have also condemned what they called a dynastic coup. Trade unions have called for a general strike, while rebel groups FACT said Chad was not a monarchy. The African Union's Peace and Security Council voiced grave concern about the military takeover, which put the 37-year-old General Muhammad Deby in charge and saw Parliament dissolved. The AU's 50-member security body discussed the situation on Thursday, but waited until after Deby's funeral on Friday to issue its statement. It said power should be restored to civilian authorities expeditiously. And I think a lot of I was watching this conversation some international media network, Doc, and the main thing that they were wondering, what is the interest of France? Because France seems to be the one sort of saying what is happening right now, seems to be the one in charge behind the scenes in what is happening right now in Chad.
First of all, our theories are correct. Miriam, last week we told you Francis, doctor here, Dr. Joseph said there is someone outside who must have influence. Was it Dr. Joseph or Professor Onyari? No, Dr. Joseph. You said the killing of General Idris Deby must come from somewhere. Now, I want to tell you authoritatively, so that I leave the panel also to chip in. Here is the master plan. The French, General Khalifa Haftar. And Miriam, before we go far, all the 59 submarine men, marine in Indonesian marine have been found dead. That's breaking news all over the whole world. Breaking news number 2, huge protests spring up in Mogadishu as we speak now. Battles between police, and so we don't know where Al-Shabaab will even come in, we don't know. That is the news on the wires right now. Coming back to the point, General Khalifa Haftar was equipped, supplied by Egypt and France to take over western or eastern Libya and the southern parts of Libya that border Chad. General Khalifa Haftar trained over 1,000 men or more and recruited an elite group calling itself FACT, supervised by France. At the same time, the French were telling General Idriss Déby, you are our good darling, bonjour, bonjour, allez à la maison, let's eat frog, bro, brother, bonjour, bonjour. You see, when Songa, you would laugh and laugh. You know, the problem with African leaders, they don't listen. Had they listened to Matanga, they would be free. How many times have I told you, there is no territory of France on this continent of Africa that has no rebel activities? Show me one. And I go to sleep. I will tell all the degrees that I got through hardship and throw them in the air, and God help me. Show me one territory which is peaceful. Show me. Is Burundi peaceful? Is Burundi peaceful? Are there no rebels somewhere in one of the countries wanting to overthrow the president of Burundi? Is Rwanda peaceful? Are there no rebels somewhere walking around the proxy areas, fighting a proxy war against Kagame? Congo DRC, where the president is flying to. I haven't told you what is there. You will even laugh. The French again don't like Tshisekedi. They think they would have done business with Kabila. Why is the president of Zambia flying to go and say, Mr. Tshisekedi, I don't have any rebels in my country who want to overthrow Tshisekedi? While that is happening, Uganda has already gone into Congo to dig roads and build good cities in preparation for dismembering of Congo and taking the Banyamulenge territory. Woohoo! What a drama. Are we not watching this? Go to Chad itself, the epicenter of French hypocrisy and double standards of hegemony. Kwenda, double standards of killing Africans, telling us you are simulators to wear perfumes when we can't manufacture even one bottle of perfume. At least the British left us with English. And it is the only language learned in the whole world. Even the French try to learn English. Tell me one more country which is learning in French. Tell me, show me that you learn French and go and do what with French? Eat frogs? I don't eat frogs in my culture. where I was born, and I believe Wesonga is also part of it. And Dr. Chatamba is part of it. Nyachamba is part of it. Joseph. Professor Nyari is part of it. Kirimi is part of it. And Karanja is part of my culture. Miriam is part of my culture. We don't eat frogs. So, show me one country in the world, one territory in Africa. Mali, crisis. Mauritania, crisis. Algeria doesn't want to hand over Sahawari. You look at that. Come, Niger. There's a stooge that they have just installed in Niger. You know that president who won 90% something is in Niger. A stooge. That's another one causing problems. Burkina Faso. The former Dahomey. You know Togo. Some of these countries, don't forget, you will go for your interviews, you younger men who still have brains. The country called Dahomey is nowadays called what? You should know those names. A country called Upper Voluta. What is the new name for Upper Voluta? It's Burkina Faso. Those are the things you should know. My programs on this TV educate people, educate students, educate the younger generation to know the history. There is no state of the French-speaking Ivory Coast. Look at Ouattara. Gambia. Look at how they are fidgeting to fix Fatou Bensouda to become the president, and Mr. the watchman from North London, whom I helped to come to power. You don't forget, Punchline Miriam did a great job for Gambians to gain independence. Every Gambian I find in London gives me £500 for free when he said, this is Dr. Oh, come, let's go to the team. Because I did a great job. I took my satellite into Yahaya's, defeated Yahaya through a satellite phone. I finished him. My television was broadcasting live into Gambia. We finished. So look, show me one country, Senegal. Didn't you see last week people banning everything in Senegal? So in a nutshell, Miriam, this question of killing African presidents is very bad because we allowed African Union to be captured by AU. African Union was captured, by France. France captured AU. France bought Mr. Faki Mahamat Faki. Dr. Mahamat Faki was bought years ago. Idris was fed up with Mahamat Faki. Idris sold Mahamat Faki to AU to secure his position as the president. The French all along wanted Mahamat Faki to replace Idris Dabi because he comes from the south. That's why you see Maina, his brother Maina, cannot even show up on this show. They are the people in a celebration now. They have finished a giant of Africa. Everybody is running back to be the Minister of Foreign Affairs or Finance. Good luck. Good luck. One of the rebels I know in London told me that now he's going to invite me officially to go to Jamena. And then I asked him to do what? To eat frogs with the French? I don't eat frogs. I eat frogs. I rear frogs in water and natural. I keep the ecosystem of Africa. So in short, the French policy in Africa must change. We love the French as investors. We love them. They are our people. They are people, a generation. He said, we are all human beings. But they should change their tactics. They should change to give us hope, not to give us wars. Miriam, I submit.
Thank you so much. Daniel, is it a wonder that France is supporting the installation of the late David's son as the leader of Chad after the constitution was suspended and parliament also was suspended there, and yet it's against the constitution there in Chad? Why do you think this is the case?
Miriam, the move only uncovers the treachery behind the dealings of France in Africa. For so long time through Francophrique, France has been dealing with African countries like criminal bandit, some kind of bandit criminal enterprise, where it has been using leaders for their own selfish interests. And once they are done with you, they get to finish you, to overthrow you from power, and sometimes even kill you. So it's just a case of giving a dog a bad name and then killing it. And it was just a matter of time. I saw some political analysts across the globe saying that perhaps it was a hatched scheme that it was, as Dr. Masanga said, it was some kind of assassination because France seemed to have had a hand in it. So to me, Miriam, there's nothing strange about that. It was just a matter of time. Dr. Masanga has been talking about it. He told you that we have more than 5 countries which have already been earmarked and they are going to be overthrown. So we are just, Chad is just one among the statistics. We are still counting. And if this is not brought into control, then we are likely to see more countries having whatever we are experiencing in Chad. So to me, Miriam really doesn't come as a surprise. That is the language, that is the transaction the French have been having with countries which are their former colonies. I submit.
Thank you so much. Now, and in the wake of what African Union has called, they want the end of the military rule there in Chad, and they're saying they want, the restoration of civilian authority there expedited as soon as possible, because we know as long as you're being ruled by a military as a country in the African continent, you cannot be a member of the African Union. Why didn't they go ahead and suspend Chad from African Union? Javan. Douglas.
Yeah, thank you very much, Miriam. Yeah. I'm here. Let me say that what we wish for our brothers in Chad is a peaceful country, is a country that they can call home.
Okay, technology and its challenges. Douglas, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Go ahead, Javan. We're having a bit of a reception problem from your end.
Oh, okay. Am I audible now?
Yes. Go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you very much. And as I was saying, that what we can wish for our brothers in Chad is a peaceful country, is a country that they can come together and see the need to rebuild their country, Miriam. And they must do that without really relying on the influence of the France. They need to understand that the French have their own country to build. They need to build their country as a nation. And this issue, Miriam, of suspending the constitution, for me, I don't see why the government of the day, under the leadership of the Idris son, feels like they need to suspend the constitution and have a military rule rather than going for the civil, or to create a room where everybody can be brought on the table. I think those are some of the contentious issues that will keep dividing the country. They need to settle, to iron things out with everybody, those in opposition, the media, and everybody, so that we avoid this oppression. We avoid the suppression of information that is coming out. We avoid people creating a misconception and conspiracies that later this information gives room and gives extremist group a chance to drive in these nations. Therefore, with these conditions that they are in, with this environment that they are in, they need to take the advantage to rebuild their country and to see the need of having an integrated country, to see the need of having everybody, even with the diverse beliefs, cultures, and and agendas and interests being put together to have a harmonious country where everybody will feel at home. Because what I see, Miriam, this country, maybe the government, the last government has really tried. It tried to caution some of this, the political instability. It really tried to caution some of the economic setbacks and so on, but they didn't achieve much. Therefore, the leadership and the new leadership that will come in place, they need to see the need to realize a politically stable country, an economic thriving nation, and that will come when we have everybody speaking the tone of integration and unification. That will not come when they have this functionalism kind of agenda. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Now, Douglas, we saw President Pombe Magufuli die here in March. Parliament was not dissolved, Constitution was not suspended, but the manner in which this has happened there in Chad, you wonder, it has been very well orchestrated. Is there more than meet the eye on what you're seeing now play out there in Chad?
Thank you, Miriam. After the death of the most cooperative partner of the West, after they have killed him, there's nothing that explains. Chad is the headquarters of France operations in Africa. General Idriss Deby is the most cooperative of many leaders in Africa, especially in the Sahel region, as far as the French and other Western allies are concerned against extremism and against terrorism. All counterterrorism activities have always gone the way of Idriss Deby as their appointment in the region. When they have killed him, now they want to install everything, including when they want them to change the constitution. It is said, actually it was reviewed on this show, that it was not Idriss Deby who pushed for the same, it is the French people who pushed for the same. People, especially leaders in Africa, should listen and also be very cautious about these resource-greedy Western allies who continue, the imperialists who continue using the people of Africa, great sons of Africa, and dumping them. When President Idriss Deby, who now has been killed, was cooperating with him, he was a good man. Now that they have killed him, they want even to support the legitimacy. A Western ally of Chad legitimizing the military takeover. We never saw that happening in any country, anywhere, including Tanzania, which was the other day. We never saw the suspension of parliament, members of parliament going on because the president has died. In Chad, it happened so because these resource-greedy Western allies, people want to continue using sons of Africa and daughters of Africa to engender their own plans so that they can continue misusing us, the people of Africa, so that they can continue taking advantage of us. Did that to Idriss Deby. We need to see beyond what we are seeing in the newspapers. Even the statements that the France government and the French people are giving out there, they are all indications of a France hegemony that has grown on in West African region, especially the Sahel region, and they are so entrenched in the Chadian government and also the military, such that we cannot be able to rule out any possibility of interference, especially from the French people, when the president of Chad, Idriss Deby, died. So people should be cautious, especially those francophone countries, everywhere where the French are involved. You should be worried that your president might be next. So people should be able. People should be able to be very cautious, especially now that the president, who has been the most cooperative of the president, especially in the Sahel region, has been taken out. These people are committed into taking you out as strong as they use you, as strong as they make sure that you have served their purposes and interests. So, Miriam, I have no kind words for the French people for killing one of our true Pan-Africanists and a true leader of the people. A true servant of Africa, a true son of Africa has died a cruel death in the hands of the French people. Now that they no longer need him, we need to be cautious. We need to be listening to voices of positive change, and especially people who speak for Africa, like Dr. Masanga, a true Pan-Africanist who has been warning these countries. If you cooperate with the French people, they are going to take you out one day. If you cooperate with these imperialists, they are going to take you one day. If they continue misusing you, if they continue using your voice to kill the decent and also voices of other perspectives in Africa, the French people are an axis of evil, especially in the Sahel region, where they have over 7,300 soldiers in the Sahel region to continue their hegemony, to continue building on what they want to do in Africa, disregarding the lives and also especially the precious lives of our leaders. Leaders should be warned in Africa. You are next. After Idris Deby, you are next. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. And we've seen the resolution there from the African Union saying they want a civilian authority to head, Chad as soon as possible. But we've seen immediately after the army took over there, they said the military council will rule Chad for 18 more months as they prepare for elections. Are we likely to see that happen? And why do you think, Professor, France is supporting an illegality there in Chad, something that they will not tolerate if it happens somewhere else, say in Europe?
Yeah, Miriam, if you have ever read about criminals and the police, there is a time, Miriam, when they work in partnership in committing crime. One uses the other. Immediately the police have used the criminals and are done with the deal, Miriam. What do? They eliminate you. They eliminate them. This is exactly what France is doing to its allies in the continent of Africa, Miriam. After having used you now, see what they have done with Idris? After finished with him, what have they done? They have eliminated him. And Miriam, you talk about African Union. Who ensured that the Faki is the chairperson for African Union? It is France.
De facto. Mm.
That's an unfortunate thing, Miriam. There is nothing we have discussed here, and we will continue discussing here, Miriam. There is nothing you will expect from African Union, Miriam. Even in the first instance, Miriam, what have they said? So, Miriam, when the West have used you, especially French, is a very terrible country, a very terrible colonial master, and all the African countries, Miriam, which were colonized by France, Miriam. You will see them basically here in Africa, but their art is in Paris. Name them, start from DRC, name another country. They are always in DRC, Miriam. That's the most unfortunate thing, Miriam. Even some of the things, Miriam, to destabilize the continent of Africa, Miriam. Tell me where the British have tried to interfere or to overthrow the government, Miriam. And even if they do it, Miriam, they do it in a clever way, Miriam. But France will go into a way of eliminating you, the way they have eliminated Idris, Miriam. It's unfortunate for the continent of Africa. And African leaders, Miriam, have to learn. And Miriam, one of the things Dr. Masanga will testify, Miriam, when you meet someone from as near as Cameroon here, Miriam, as near as even Burundi, Miriam, is far away from you and we come almost from the same region, Miriam. The way, Miriam, the British, the way Dr. Masanga said, Miriam, and yes, they colonized us, but Miriam, at least they left us with our brains to think. The people of France, you see now they have used their late president, they have killed him. Now again they want to do it, and there's also one of the panelists who was trying to say that now that their father has been killed, they have to negotiate, and you were comparing with Tanzania, how the president has died in office. Miriam, you don't kill someone's father, and then you tell us now we can negotiate. Miriam, we'll fight up to the last minute, Miriam. So what you are trying to see in Chad, you are yet to see, Miriam, there is going to be continuous civil war in that country, Miriam. Mm-hmm. We have no time to democracy so soon. Did you see, Miriam, they killed the father? And even when the body was being carried flown to be buried, Miriam, what they do? So, Miriam, that is the ugly face of France, you can see. They have destabilized the continent of Africa. They have rooted all the resources, the minerals, Miriam. Mm-hmm. That's the most unfortunate thing, Miriam. But we have to say as it is. And I entirely agree with Dr. Masanga, Miriam, that the Chad is their headquarters. That's where they operate their things from. That's when they want to destabilize the continent of Africa. That's where they organize their things from. But we will continue speaking, Miriam. We are the only voice We have got work to do, and we have to do it, Miriam. I submit.
Okay, thank you so much. Dr. Nyanchama, are they likely
thank you.
To follow what
Thank you, Miriam.
resolution from African Union? Are they
Thank you.
Okay,
Yes, first of all, let me get a bearing. You know, I usually say this thing. I don't know whether my fellow panelists remember it. I listened myself, 2008. The French president, Chirac, said, most of the money we have in our banks in French comes from Africa. And we must continue to partner with Africa. You know, let me tell you, clever citizens of French must know, it is not what the president is saying. You must listen to what he's not saying. He was telling them, guys, remember, our resources for survival comes from Africa. Then you need to be intelligent enough to know where you should focus your effort. In short, that's what he was saying. I can now see why. And you see, I said in this forum, we could see an outside hand in the killing of Idris. It is not a wonder for me, French supporting the Idris' son. You know why? They wanted to conceal any possible way of them being pinpointed as the cause. You know, ni kupambaza mtoto. That we are very sorry your father's died. Now we are with you. For me, from an intelligent perspective, them supporting the legitimate leaders of university, of this military, it is their strategy of, first of all, concealing their involvement of killing of Idris. First aspect. And we should not compare the death of Idris with Makufuri. The other one's killed and assassinated. The other one died of natural death, which is disease can kill anyone. That's natural. Coming to Africa, now they are issuing a statement that stability needs to come back as soon as possible. That is rhetorical. If you look at the chairman AU, still the French are saying, you now started to agitate the return of the civil government from AU. And now they have already concealed their involvement by bamboozling the son of Idris. Let us as panelists read deep the underpinning factors of behavior of French. I am telling you, you know, we have two types of eyes. Eyes that look and eyes that see. French have eyes that see. Most African leaders have eyes that look. Looking is the function of the eyes. Seeing is the function of the heart. They have already postulated before they start manipulating. What I'm saying is, Africa should not just issue plain statement without looking at the underpinning factors that is informing the behavior of French. I am telling you, they are going again to cause disruptions in Chad to rule the chairman of AU because they know the other one is military. Now they are telling him, now you say we must have elections as soon as possible so that they cause confusion. And Africans have eyes that see, because seeing is the function of the heart. You can never see further until you use your heart. For me, Miriam, all these people, including some African officials, are not doing it in good faith. This forum must bring them to order. And this afternoon, we have told them can they correlate the massaging of French by advocating the continual ruling of military, and on one hand, telling FARC to agitate from African Forum for a civil government? We are aware they give with one hand under the flashing light of cameras and take with the other hand in the shadows. All these schemes, we know them. And this Forum Bank Africa team must unveil them and shame the devil. I submit, Miriam.
Very well said, Dr. Joseph Nyanchama. And of course, this is a story that we will continue to look at and see the situation as it unfolds there in Chad. France said, Debbie Sani is the right person to take over the leadership there in Chad. But according to the constitution in Chad, the person who is supposed to be at the helm of leadership is the Speaker of the National Assembly. Remember, Chadians voted last year in December to have the Vice President's position returned. But since then, Deby was not able to appoint a vice president for himself, and the prime minister was removed after the attempted coup in 2018. So the late President Deby was just, running the country as a personal enterprise. France decided we cannot have a leadership vacuum, so we'll just bring his son to stay there, despite the illegality of it all. And Doc, I don't know if there's anything else you need to add to that, because also our time has run out.
We don't have much time, but in a nutshell, either way, there is no way France can run out of it. It is the rebels said they came from General Khalifa Haftar. France supports them. So didn't France know that there were some people plotting to go and kill Idris? They knew. That's it. That's my conclusion.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I don't know if the remaining topics, if you can look at them tomorrow, especially this one on DRC or doing its neighbors. We know President Kenyatta.
Miriam.
Yes.
Just let me spend 3 minutes on the Tanzanian pipeline.
Okay, go ahead.
Nightmare. Because it touches us, it touches you.
Go ahead.
One, the French, again, it's gymnastics. The panel, the French sat down with the Kenyan government, agreed that they would help the Kenyan government to build a lap set from Lamu to Chiga up to Masindi, Hoima, and Juba. Hala, everything was done. Visibility study was done. People were excited. Ecosystems were done. After some time, international conspiracies started emerging. And I want the panel tomorrow, when you increase your volume on this topic, to look at the key players behind the removal of LAPSET from Lamu up to Masindi, Mwanza, Tanga. Today is a shame, Miriam, that Tanzania, with the new president, High Excellency Samia Suluhu Hassan, is it? The president of Tanzania, Mama flew to Kampala to sign an agreement. I wrote an article saying, let's go slow. Who owns the medium first? Who owns the banks in France? Do you know the person who owns one of the banks in France? You know his name? Can I reveal the name? George Soros. The biggest bank. That's why the biggest bank. That's why Boniface Mwangi was deported from France, trying so hard to go and draw that money. Come with it to supply, because he's a conduit, he's a supplier of George Soros' money around the region. He goes to Zimbabwe. We are waiting for him somewhere in Zimbabwe. Zimbabweans don't have mercy. Boniface Mwangi, if you are hearing me, don't try to board a plane today. Don't say, Matanga, I did not tell you. I love you to be with your child and the children. The Zimbabweans don't take any shit. They are aware now that you supply money to other NGOs in East Africa and Africa, the Southern Africa. So George Soros owns the banks. He has more money than the French government has. He initiated the process of withdrawing from funding the pipeline, citing Uganda as an example of human rights, ecosystem, and whatever it is. Look at the banks. All the banks now in the world are saying they will not fund the project. So you tell me, where we are heading. All the banks, the French banks, have withdrawn from funding the project of Mwanza, Tanga, Masindi pipeline. And that is why it is very, very important for you people to grasp this. Now, the conspiracy of removing the pipeline from Lamu was partly both Kenyans and then external forces. The external forces are namely the government of Bashir, General Bashir then, with some elements Kenyans here. And I will name them later, not on this television station. Why did Bashir want to destabilize the removal of Lamu Lapset, not to build a pipeline from Masindi to Juba, Juba to Lochiga, Lochiga to Lamu? Because once they build the pipeline, the oil from Southern Sudan will not go to Port Sudan. Therefore, he will lose the income. Bashir, during that power, I flew in Khartoum, and he told me on the table, we were seated having lunch at dinner, and I've told you that story before. They picked me from the crowd because of the delivery of my speech. I came, I saw, I conquered. The audience early on of 10,000 people, judges around Africa. Bashir was the guest of honor. He stood in the middle of my speech, gave me a standing ovation. For 5 minutes, I could not say I was finished. I said, why? I'd hit the point that Bashir has been looking for. So he invited me for dinner. I went, sat down in the presidential palace. I ate the dinner. While we are eating dinner, Bashir said, how do you find Khartoum? I said, it's a very nice place. And very good. He said, we are modifying it. We are returning to our old Stone Age farming of canoes and canals, using canoes, and we shall be transporting people in Khartoum and other areas through canoes and canals to send water to the farms. We produce a lot of maize, and we supply maize to Kenya. That's what he told me. President Bashir is in prison. Anybody can ask him. He will tell you. Then I told him, whom are you giving this contract? President Bashir said, the French. My fork, have you seen this fork? This fork was on the left-hand side. as usual, eating with the kings, and you must carry your fork nicely. It fell like this. It fell down. He said, what's the problem? Bring another fork. I said, Your Excellency, you said the French are the ones you have given this contract. I said, you are done. Do you know that the French support ICC 3/4? Hey, the man called the Minister of State for Security to come and see me today before I leave for Nairobi. The Minister of Security came at night, 3 a.m. Our flight was at 6. We leave the hotel at 6 for the airport. And we sat. I told them, it won't be long before you call me. But you are done. You have done a blunder. Look, Lapset, the French exchanged the building of canals in Khartoum with the pipeline down in Kenya, because the Africa again is Africa. Bashir government did not want this pipeline to be built because it will take away revenue for Port Sudan. So they shifted to Uganda, they shifted to South Sudan, they shifted to Tanzania, they antagonized Magufuli, they came back, they bought stakes out of Tallow oil, they muzzled President Museveni because he has to stay in power. If he doesn't give them, he will not stay in power. They have now entered there. It won't be long before my president, His Excellency Museveni, regrets how he allowed these guys to come to Uganda to buy oil. If I'm wrong, I studied political science, which he studied. He was an editor in Dar es Salaam when I was a Shamba boy in Dar es Salaam, earning 1 shilling per day, which was 30 shillings of Tanzanian money. He was studying, finalizing his degrees. Mr. President, look at the history of the French, how they have finished the countries. And listen to me, I don't mind. I give you free advice. But if I were Uganda's foreign minister, for example, which I'm fit and capable, I could do better job than Kutesa. I'm now applying for the post if you can. I have no problem. In fact, I will tell off Africa will rise quickly. Africa will rise because you tell the truth. The French are going to create us a problem here. You wait. Put your 2 eyes. My mouth and the saliva is not without wisdom from the God who has kept me for 65 years. No. Look at what they have done. That's an example. Therefore, Miriam, as you discuss this topic further, will the pipeline go ahead? They say they can't deal with the Chinese. George Soros cannot put money where the Chinese are. Didn't the president of Uganda know that the banks are owned by George Soros in France? I don't know. Has he got a foreign ministry that should tell him? I don't know. So, Mr. President, we all need Uganda. But if I were you in these days of yours, make some of the enemies the best envoys. We might help you better. Because things are thick. Mzee, things are thick. If you have a revolutionary party in Africa, and I'm now telling you, those who want to hear, if you have a revolutionary party in Africa, prepare for chaos. CCM, NRM, ZANU-PF, ANC, FRELIMO, MPLA. There is another revolutionary party. The rest have been neutralized. Prepare for the worst. They are on you. They are on you. They are on you. They are on you. This is a Sunday. And I want my chaplain to pray for me as I retire. As I retire, I have talked the truth. Mr. President, if you have a revolutionary party in Africa, prepare yourself. If I were you, I would not bring the French closer to me. Just as Mnangagwa, just as Kagame, just as Frelimo, just as Sululu, just as MPLA, those are the parties. Just as SWAPO, they have never forgiven you. They have never forgiven the defeat that you gave to retain independence. Look at what they have done to Mozambique. They have finished it. They have finished. It's Kalas. They are all the tourist spots. Pama, Sofala, all these areas are gone. You can't pass. They airlifted, they planted people there who became ISIS. If I'm wrong, let God help me. But if you have a revolutionary party in Africa, prepare yourself that you are going to be muzzled. George Soros owns the money in Paris. Mr. President, if your foreign ministry did not tell you that, then if I were you, you would sack. I can do you pro bono, don't even give me salary. I can do for you a foreign ministry for free. That's it. For free. Because I will gather everything that you look for. How could you not know that the banks paying money are George Soros owned? Then you go and sign the signature. Watu gani hawa? Muli kuchimwe. Temuyinza kumanya nti waliwo obuzibu. Temuyinza kumanya nti waliwo obuzibu. Banka zonna mu France. Banka za George Soros. Them signing agreement. George Soros has now made it his habit. Miriam, I was saying, all banks in France are owned, paid, singularly by George Soros' money. Have you seen France issuing a warrant of arrest for George Soros? Have you seen the United States issuing a warrant of arrest for George Soros? Is the building of Soros not facing the building of Trump? Did Trump and Soros ever meet and shake hands? No. But their buildings smile at each other every morning in New York. Why don't you Africans learn? Kwa nini nyenye Afrika munalala paka mambo imefika kwa barabara, kwa mlangoni? Kiswahili yangu mzuri sanifu hiyo. Sijui kama sanifu. Besonga, I have not seen you shake your head. Mlangoni ndi mlango, si ndio? Vipi, Miriam? Asante sana, ndugu wapenzi. Kwa hivyo nawaambia, mkuwe chonjo, mkae chonjo, macho chonjo. Afrika tuko na shida. Shida za Afrika ndio hizo hizo. Wabeberu wanataka kuleta shida kwa Afrika. Nchi zetu za Afrika zitapata mavurugano. Mavurugano inakuja juu ya shida ya ile mafuta ambayo tuko nayo. Kwa hivyo, Waafrika wenzangu, msikie namna hivyo. Wale wenye wako na uongozi, wale wenye wako na vyama ya siasa yenye ilitoa, vyama ya siasa yenye ilitoa wabeberu kutoka wakoloni, ilitoa wakoloni kwa nchi zetu. Wachunge sana, wachunge kutoka NRM, ZANU-PF ile ya Zimbabwe, CCM ile ya Tanzania, Frelimo ile Mozambiki, Ureno itaki kuingilia maneno ya Mozambiki. Ureno imekaa chonjo, lakini the French have come in. Wale ANC ya South Africa, Ramaphosa ako kwa line, atotolewa. Wale MPLA, my brother across my in-law in Angola, ako kwa shida. Wale SWAPO wako kwa shida, na nchi nyingine kadhaa kwa dunia, kwa nchi yetu hii ya Afrika, kwa bara ya Afrika ziko kwa shida. Kwa hivyo muamuke, muangalie mbele, mkuwe na macho, msikilize, mkuwe muungane pamoja. Ndugu yangu Kagame, mkae pamoja na ndugu Museveni, mzungumize, mfungue boda. Tunataka hivyo. Tunataka Afrika iendelee. Tunataka Afrika ipate amani. Tunataka Afrika ikue nchi, bara ya Afrika ikue na amani. Kwa nini tunakuwa na mavurugano kila pahali? Watu vikundi vinataka kuua wa rais zetu. Kwa nini? Hapa Mogadishu tuko na shida. France inaingia Mogadishu. I want to thank you very much, Miriam, for allowing me to speak Swahili. And I think I have proved myself that out of 10, you will give me something above 7. I have a few things to learn, but niko na Kiswahili ya sanifu ile ya Tanzania ya Msasani makati ya 78. Niko naye. Asanteni.
Okay. Doctor, thank you so much. And I think that is where we end our show this afternoon because of the interest of time. Thank you so much, Dr. David Matanga, Douglas Kirimi, Daniel Wesonga, Jevan Karanja, Musa Abdi, who had a bit of a technical hitch there. He was not with us for the majority part of the show, but he was with us at the beginning. Professor Jared Onyari, and of course, Dr. Joseph Nyanchama. There is one of the topics here that we had intended to do, but I think maybe we can do it tomorrow, about the DRC outdoing its neighbors. And we know President Uhuru Kenyatta met with President of the Democratic Republic of Congo, Felix Tshisekedi, a few days ago, and they entered into a few framework operations agreements. And also Kenya agreed to deploy some troops to help in the peacekeeping there in the DRC, and President Uhuru Kenyatta being the chair of the African Union, and the DRC wanting to join the East African community, not African Union, but East African community. It's a lot to unpack. So I think this is a conversation I think we can have tomorrow and see by Kenya wanting to deploy troops there in the DRC. Will it get caught up with the dynamics that is already happening there? So I think maybe, Doctor, we can have this conversation tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching. This has been Africa Showdown. My name is Miriam Ogutu. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye for now.
Thank you.